Hey, welcome to the show, everybody. It's Wednesday, which means it's time for another episode of the Leadership Toolkit. This is your definitive leadership growth podcast. As you know, I have amazing leaders, managers, entrepreneurs, business owners, people that lead from the middle of organizations, all kinds of different people from different verticals of business from all over the globe to come and have conversations with me to share with you what their successes are so you can skip the fails and the misses. And sometimes we share fails and misses so that you can skip those. So today is no different. I'm really excited to have an amazing guest on the show. RJon Robins. He's best known for being the founder and CEO of How to Manage Enterprises. Like, it doesn't get much better in leadership and management than if your company is called How to Manage. It's an award-winning 8-figure business that coaches entrepreneurs and business owners through every part of their journey. He focuses on leadership and management. They go from anywhere from startup to multi-million-dollar corporations. So I am excited to introduce RJon Robins. RJon, welcome to the Leadership Toolkit today.
Mike, thanks for having me. And I love that introductory music. It gets me all revved up. That's great. That's a great intro.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for making the time to be here. If you would, as we're jumping in here just at the start, if you would share a little bit of, what is your journey? How did you, because I think a lot of people can look at people like you in business and go, oh my goodness, this guy's got everything figured out. He's a kick butt leader. He's, managing people. He's leading people. He's got this, as even on the introduction, 8-figure business. And it's like, he's got everything.
I don't have it all figured out. I don't have it all figured out.
That's how you know you're a good leader.
Have it all figured out. They're either lying to you or they really don't have it all figured out.
Absolutely. So if you would just take a few minutes and share a bit of your journey. Where did you start? How did you get to where you are? And then let's have a conversation on leadership and how to manage.
Right. So today, this year, How to Manage should gross around 35 to 36-ish million dollars. 2 years ago, we had a spike. We had a $60 million a year between all the different enterprises, but that was just a little side project we did that kind of got really exciting. But the actual business model itself has gone from me being completely broke, lost the house to foreclosure. First year we started doing this in 2008, I guess. We grossed $75,000, right? Grossing $75,000 means that my wife, who's a professional artist, she would paint, and if we didn't sell paintings at art festivals,
sure,
and we didn't figure out a way to sell paintings doing direct response marketing, we didn't pay rent, right? So that was 2008. $75,000 gross revenue for the business. Then it went to 200,000, then 600,000. Then 2012, we finally broke the 7-figure barrier. And let me tell you, we thought we were pretty hot shit. And it's a mental milestone, and it's an important mental milestone, but
sure,
it's a number. We went from $1 million in 2012. We grew at 75% the next year and the part that I want everyone to be paying attention to is not like, big show off revenue, because I know a lot of people with businesses much, much, much bigger than ours. I have friends whose businesses like dwarf my business. So it's good to keep your ego in check, right?
Absolutely.
But the part that I want people to hear is the rate of growth, the velocity of growth. 200,000 to 600,000 is a 300% growth. 600,000 to $1 million is a 40% growth. $1 million to $1.7 million is a 75% growth. Then we went from $1.7 million to $3 million, then $4 million, then $6 million, then $8 million, then 10 million, then 14 million, then 17 million, then 19 million, then 22 million, then 29 million, then 30-ish, 31, 32. And then we kind of like, excuse me, then for about 3 years, we were like bouncing around 30, 31, 31, 32. We lost money for 2 years in a row because we made some strategic mistakes. And this year, and then last year we got back on track, and last year was 34 million. This year, like I said, 36, 37 million. That's the revenue journey.
Sure.
And the part that I want everyone to understand is, remember that part where I said there were 2 years where I lost money? That's because we made some strategic mistakes. And anyone who hasn't made any strategic mistakes, either they're going to, or please tell me how you do it.
Right. No, I think that's the mark of any really good leader, is acknowledging not just that you make mistakes, but the fact that, okay, hey, we made the mistakes. Now, what are we going to do with it? Right. I mean, because
You
it's
learn
one thing
from
to
it, grow from
yeah,
it, you get better. I mean, that's the only, I guess the other choice is to run away and hide and never make any mistakes. But if you're not making any mistakes, it's because you're probably not making any decisions. And that alone is a mistake.
absolutely. So when you're saying, hey, you got into business for yourself, and your background starting in 2008, I want to go back here just a second, was during this time, because you're also a licensed attorney. Was this like based on you as a law firm? How does the licensed attorney or law firm fold into or move into how to manage.com and so forth?
Right. So 98.75% of what we do is applicable probably to any business in any industry.
100%. Yep.
The core business we have, and it's a portfolio of businesses, but the core business we have, the one that we're talking about, the 30 whatever $1 million business, is called How to Manage a Small Law Firm.
Okay.
And we manage over 500 law firms all over the country, with revenues ranging from, we got law firms that are 40, $30 million in gross revenue, all the way down to brand new startups and everything in between. And what that business does, which I think is probably most relevant and interesting for your listeners, Mike,
Sure.
is we provide the C-suite for the firm. So you think about, a mid-sized business, 10, 20, 50, 75, $100 million business. There's a CEO, there's a COO, there's a CFO, there's a CMO. I mean, no one in the right mind would think to run a mid-sized business without a full C-suite, right?
Sure.
The problem is when you're running a $250,000 business, when you're running a $500,000 business, when you're running a 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, even a $5 million business, where are you going to get the resources to hire a full-time, qualified, experienced, credentialed, resourced CEO and COO and COO and CFO? And even if you're the smartest person in the world, that doesn't mean that doesn't mean you're really qualified to be a chief financial officer. And if you're really qualified to be a chief financial officer, you're probably not also qualified to be a chief operating officer, because they're cut from two different cloths. And if you're really qualified to be a chief operating officer or a chief financial officer, you're probably not also qualified to be a chief marketing officer. And if you're really great at being a chief marketing officer, you're probably not really any of the point I'm making is these small businesses, they have a tactical disadvantage because they don't have access to the kind of C-suite that mid-sized businesses have access to.
Sure.
And so our business thesis, if you will, was, and I'll tell you how I came up with it. What if we could give owners of small businesses, small law firms, access to the kind of C-suite professional advisory resources that owners of mid-sized businesses take for granted?
Sure.
And, the theory was they would make better business plans. They would make better business decisions. They would make better strategic plans. They would make better tactical plans. They would make better financial projections. They would have better control over their finances. They'd have more predictability of cash flow. They'd be able to spot all the profit leaks out of their business. They'd make better hiring decisions. They'd be better managing, be able to make better management decisions. And, so far, 10, 12 years later, the the thesis seems to be proving true.
So you take, and I want to pop in here. One of the comments we got from Leadership with Mike, who's a friend of mine. It's not me. He stole the name from me. Leadership with Mike. He says, "Hey, you need mistakes. Growth doesn't happen without them," which you commented on earlier. Diving into this though, so because I think a lot of small businesses, you end up sort of squishing all that together. You end up with a CEO MFO, right? And it's like, oh, you've got one person that's trying to do it. So you're coming in and saying, okay, hey, no, we're providing all of that so that they're able to utilize all of those talents, those skills, and like you said, make better business decisions, have better business growth opportunities.
Here's the way I would explain it to everyone listening.
Okay.
Right. Every successful business has 7 main parts. Every unsuccessful business has the same 7 main parts. The difference between the successful businesses and the unsuccessful businesses is the degree to which anyone is A, aware that the business has 7 main parts, B, tending to each of the 7 main parts, and how well they're tending to and keeping the 7 main parts in alignment so you don't end up with a kink in the hose and things get stuck. You follow what I'm saying?
Yes.
So the 7 main parts are marketing, sales, production, people, physical plant, financial controls, and the most important part is you, the owner's mindset. The mindset is that the business is supposed to serve the owner. The owner is not supposed to be there to serve the business. So how is the business supposed to serve you? It's supposed to serve you financially. It's supposed to give you enough income to live the way you want to live.
Sure.
It's not supposed to give you enough income to survive. It's not supposed to give you enough income just to get by. It's not supposed to give you enough income to have all the things that you can't do without. It's supposed to give you the ability to afford to live the way you actually, really, truly, authentically, in your heart, truly want to live. Financial. Supposed to serve you personally, supposed to give you a life, the business is supposed to work without you having to be there every day. If you have to turn the wheel, and the minute you stop turning the wheel, the business stops working, you don't have a business, you have a job, right? And you're doing your customers or your clients or your patients or your passengers, you're doing them a tremendous disservice by giving them a job instead of giving them a business that they can depend on. And you're also doing your staff a disservice and your family and yourself too. And then 3 is the business should serve you professionally, right? Because like I wouldn't have accepted this invitation to your podcast if I didn't believe you to be the kind of person who wants to make the world a better place, right? Your whole thing is you're trying to make the world a better place. So am I, right?
I love that.
So the business has to be an instrument, a tool, if you will, that you use to make the world a better place. So when the business serves you financially and the business serves you personally and the business serves you professionally, it is what I would call a successful business. Now, everyone's got a different definition of what they need the business to do for them financially and personally and professionally. But if it's not serving you in at least these three ways, it's not a successful business. We agree on that, right?
100%. Can I jump in here for 1 second?
Please.
So I absolutely love this perspective, RJon. I love it. And I love the fact that you're bringing this up because so often I'll visit with a lot of leaders and managers and people and there's one common thread that certainly like the business is there to serve others. And you said at the end, like we want to serve other people and make the world a better place. I love the perspective and the fact that you're bringing up yes, and not yes, but yes. And it also has to serve you personally. Yes. And it also has to serve you financially. Yes. And it serves professionally. And I know I'm repeating what you're saying. Part of the reason is I tell people watch or listen to this podcast with a pen or pencil in your hand, because you got to take notes, right? Because there's going to be just nuggets of absolute gold on stuff like this that so often we can get caught up as leaders. We can get caught up as managers. We can get caught up as business owners of that. Well, I'm just trying to serve these other people and I'm trying to make the business run, right? We get caught up working in the business rather than working on the business and all of the things that we got into it for originally. What are you going to say there?
I'm going to take a little issue with the way you characterize what I said, because it's not exactly.
That's fine.
Not exactly.
That's fair.
Okay.
That's fair. Hey, listen, you can push back. We go all you want. That's one of the beauties of a podcast like this. So absolutely, please clarify for me and repeat that. I would love that.
Okay. You said the business has to serve other people and it has to serve the owner.
Yes.
I'm saying, screw that. The business has to serve the owner.
Okay.
The business has to serve the owner. That's the job of the business. The job of the business is to serve the owner.
Okay.
First and foremost, the business has to serve the owner. My business exists to serve me financially. It exists to serve me personally. It exists to serve me professionally. Now, here's the thing. In order to serve me financially, the business has to deliver a ton of value to all of our customers. In order to serve me personally, the business has to deliver a ton of value to all of my employees.
Yes.
Otherwise, they won't do their jobs.
True.
And in order to serve me professionally, the business has to make a positive impact on the world, or I'm not happy.
100% true.
It's a very different perspective when you get clear. And by the way, I would argue with anyone who says, no, I run my business to help other people first. No, you don't. No one does. That's disingenuous and it's delusional. You're running your business to serve you. Now, if you like to suffer and you run your business badly and your business makes you suffer, well, then you're using your business to make yourself suffer, right?
Sure.
If you want to make a positive impact on the world and you build a good business that delivers whatever it's supposed to do to make a positive impact on the world, well, then the business is serving you because you want to make a positive impact on the world. That's a good thing. That's admirable. That's why
100%.
that's why character counts, right? That's why doing business with a good person makes a difference, because a good person wants to use their business to do good in the world. A bad person wants to use their business to do bad in the world. When you do business with a bad person and they're using their business to do bad in the world, don't be surprised when it bites you in the ass.
Absolutely. Well, and can I just compliment you real quick? So thank you for clarifying, and thank you for pointing that out, because that's one of the reasons that I do repeat often. We'll be engaged in stuff on the show, and it's rare that I'll have somebody say, no, Mike, hold on, hold the phone, let me tell you what I really just said. So genuinely, thank you for that, RJon. And
listen, it's a subtle nuance, but
no,
it's a
you're
lot
right.
It's a subtle nuance, but it gets a lot of people twisted around. And especially as your business begins to scale and you start to put some real profits at stake. I mean, when we're talking about, you're making $50,000 a year, or $100,000 a year, or a few $100,000 a year from your business, it's kind of like a distinction without a difference. It doesn't matter. But when you're talking about taking millions of dollars a year out of your business, you got to be really clear on what your intentions are and what your philosophies are and what your beliefs are, because it's going to get real confusing. And I've seen a lot of people implode their business because they're not clear about these ideas.
So I want to dive in on some of this. One thing real quick, because we're 20 minutes in, and I want to make sure that I share this stuff, because I've had it on the screen once or twice, but I want to make sure and say this out loud so that if anybody's listening on an audio podcast, whether it be Spotify, Amazon, Apple, etc., couple things. One, you can connect with RJon. I always share the LinkedIn. So on linkedin.com/n/RJon Robins, it's RJon Robins. So if you look for RJon Robins on LinkedIn, you can connect that way. Also, certainly howtomanage.com. That's that'll go to how to manage. And I think you said it was how to manage a small law firm.com, but again, applicable to all different facets of business. And then one that I want to get into here in just a minute is because you co-authored a book. You have a new book coming out called Truth, Lies, Mistakes, or Bullshit. And it's truth, lies, mistakes, or BS.com/leadership, the Leadership Toolkit, which your assistant was kind enough to make it BS versus bullshit for this particular show. So that people can check that out, and they can see where to get your new book. And I do want to dive into that and have some conversation on it. One thing before we leave this piece of the conversation, RJon, is you've said several times, okay, you got to get clear. You got to know exactly, you have to be clear on what it is that you're doing. That is something even that I've struggled with. I know many people in leadership, many people in business, many entrepreneurs struggle with. And we're not going to solve that even in the next 25 minutes or a half hour of the show, probably. Well, we might. Based on our brief conversation, you might be like, watch this, Mike, 1, 2, sucker punch, gotcha. Where does somebody start? If I'm trying to get clear on what it is that I want, how it is that I'm building a business, where would you recommend somebody start?
I would recommend you begin with Dan Sullivan's book, Wanting What You Want. It's a great book. It's a little teeny book. You can find it online. Dan Sullivan from Strategic Coach wrote an amazing book called Wanting What You Want.
Okay.
And, then if you want to go deeper into it, start reading some Ayn Rand and start really taking Ayn Rand seriously. Mm-hmm. and get really honest with yourself about the fact that we as human beings, we want to have a better future. That is the most natural human instinct, is to have a better future, right? We want to discover what we're fully capable of. We want to figure out more about how the world works. We want to do as much as we can do with what we've got. Another really great book is called The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace Wattles. Mm-hmm. And the idea from this book is that, whether you're religious or not, and I'm not trying to get into a religious conversation, but, we were not created we were not created to ignore our full potential, right? Our full potential was given to us for a reason. And it is our natural instinct as living, breathing creatures. It is our duty to ourselves. It's our duty to people we care about to find out what we're capable of and become the best, biggest, most fully expressed version of yourself. And this is what I love about business. This is what I love about being an entrepreneur, because a musician, mm-hmm. a person whose fullest expression is through a guitar, is going to become a guitar aficionado, is going to become a guitar hero, right? I can't play a musical instrument, but I can play a business. I can make the business is just a way to express my full potential. It's a way to make the world a better place in my unique way. And so you want to know where to start. Start by just deciding what you want, and start small. Don't hide out in long-term grandiose bullshit, right? Everyone goes to like, well, before I die, or in 20 years, no, let's start off 18 months from now, 24 months from now, 24 months from now. How do you want to be living your life 24 months from now? And start off with some really basic stuff. What kind of house do you want to be living in 24 months from now? What kind of car you want to drive 24 months from now? What kind of vacations do you want to take 24 months from now? What kind of domestic services do you want to employ 24 months from now? What kind of support do you want to provide for, maybe you got parents who need some help 24 months from now? What kind of philanthropic good deeds do you want to be doing 24 months from now? And quantify it, right? Because it takes money to make these things happen. So just define how you want to live honestly, like in your heart of hearts, how you really truly want to live, right? If you weren't worried about everyone judging you, if you weren't worried about people criticizing you, and if you weren't worried about how it was going to get done, if you could just snap your fingers and decide, this is the house I'd really want to be living in. This is the car I really want to be driving. This is the vacation I really want to be taking. Have the courage to be honest with yourself about wanting what you want.
Sure.
For the simple reason that the only way you're going to get it is by helping other people get what they want. So, make a list of all the people who will be better off or who you need to make them better off in order for you to get what you want, right? For me to get what I want, I have to make a lot of people's life better. And now you make a list of all the people who will be worse off when you get what you want. And there's no one on the list. There's no one who's going to be worse off when you get what you want.
No, I love that, man. So a couple things I take from that last piece, and I just repeat these because the question started with I said, okay, how do I get clear? And you shared a lot of really good information. And so you mentioned Dan Sullivan's book, Wanting What You Want, which I've never read. I'll have to pick that up because I
just want to warn you.
Yeah.
You could theoretically read the book in 45 minutes, but it could also take you 6 months because like every page you sit there and just start thinking.
Sure. No, I love, I know, like even earlier you said, hey, not to get, spiritual or religious or whatnot, but it's, I mean, for me, one of my favorite all-time books is the Bible. I'm in it all the time. I still get back into the word, and there's always something to be learned there. Theoretically, it's like you're saying, and not to compare and contrast the two, but it's like, okay, yeah, you can pick it up and get something out of it in 45 minutes, or you can spend a lifetime studying it. So as you're saying, hey, you could spend 45 minutes or 6 months. I love a good read like that. So Dan Sullivan's Wanting What You Want. You also mentioned Wallace Wattles' The Science of Getting Rich. And then as you're going through it,
and here's my book, Truth, Lies, Mistakes, or Bullshit.
I'm coming to that next. I'm coming to it next. That's the whole next part of our segment. Yes. And then certainly Truth, Lies, Mistakes, or Bullshit.
Atlas Shrugged.
And Truth, Lies, Mistakes, or Bullshit. So one thing that I want to hone in on what you said, and I think that it's interesting because you're saying, hey, make this big list of what you want. Don't worry about how to get there. Just make the list of what you want and so forth. And I do think it's important, like what people may not be hearing, like you need to spend some time, maybe in a little bit of solitude, and actually write those things down. I can tell you, I believe that's in Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich, page 74. Not that I've studied that book a whole lot, right? You actually have to write these things down. Would you agree with that? Like, it's not just, I'm going to say it to myself and then it's going to materialize.
Don't type it. This is not a keyboard exercise. If you look, we as a species, as a biological species, we've evolved over thousands of years, and there's something about having a writing instrument in your hand
100%.
Going against paper that connects your mind and your soul and your energy to the words that are being written down. It's a longer conversation than we got time for this podcast, but just trust me, if you're watching this, get a good journal, get a good pen, and sit down and just write longhand, and it'll connect more.
I 100% agree. I tell people that when you're listening to a podcast, when you're doing something, take the time to actually write things down. Don't type notes. So getting into, and as we were talking about good books, you have a new book you just co-authored, Truth, Lies, Mistakes, or Bullshit. Which one is driving your business? And so this is, like we were saying, top five in the list, right? So as far as books that you could read, and how quick is the read on this one, RJon?
It's a business parable.
Okay.
It's I don't know exactly how many pages it is, but you should be able to read it in 3 hours.
Yeah, an afternoon.
Yeah, it's an afternoon read.
So as people get into that, is the book out now, or you're taking pre-orders, or where are we at on the list for that?
As of today's date, is pre-order.
Okay. So as we record this,
and if you go to the website, truth lies mistakes or bs.com, and register there, it'll then link you to where to pre-order it, but it'll also give you a lot of extra bonus materials, and we'll let you know when the book is coming out, because we're going to be doing a lot of complimentary webinars and talks and all kinds of interesting things around the book launch. So if you want to participate in that and get all those extra resources, please go to the website, my website, and then it'll link you to Barnes & Noble or whatever.
Yep. Go to truth lies mistakes or bs.com. You can go to /the Leadership Toolkit. He's got all the info there. So let's dive in here for a minute.
Yeah.
I think it's often people will go, okay, well, if I'm talking about running a business, of those 4 pieces, we'd all like to think that we know what truth is. What's the difference? Can you explain what's the difference between the lies, the mistakes, the BS? How do we break this out? What led you to write this book and dive into that a little bit?
I've been having this conversation for decades.
Okay.
I've had this conversation with literally tens of thousands of some of the most highly educated human beings who have ever walked the planet in the history of our species. Okay. And most smart, thoughtful, educated, successful people have never really thought through the distinction between truth, lies, mistakes, and bullshit. And it creates all kinds of problems in their business, avoidable problems. And so I wrote the book to expose this in a way that would make it accessible, that would make it memorable, that would make it kind of like fun and interesting. It's a business parable. It's not a textbook. Okay. So I got this little shtick that I've done all around the country in front of, audiences of 1,000 people, audiences of 10 people. And the answers are very, very predictable, right? Doesn't matter age. It doesn't matter race. It doesn't matter sexual orientation. It doesn't matter religion. It doesn't matter level of income. It doesn't matter education. People get this confused, and this confusion creates a lot of predictable problems later on in their businesses. Confusion about the difference between truth, lies, mistakes, and bullshit creates problems with their marketing. And once we get this straightened out, suddenly their marketing gets better, and it creates problems with their sales, and suddenly their sales gets better, and it creates problems with their staffing, and they get this straightened out, and suddenly their staff problems begin to go away, and their staff starts to become more productive. It creates problems with their financial analysis. It shows up everywhere in the business, this unclear thinking.
So how do I, whoops, wrong button there. There's the right one. How do I start to, without giving away the whole book, because obviously people, we want people to go and register and buy it, but how can I start to make that distinction? Because to me, I can
do it for you right now.
Yeah.
Look,
please.
The book, it's a business parable. Read the business parable. But I can do this for you right now if you don't mind.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. I'd love it.
I have permission?
Yeah, 100% permission.
You had no idea. For the record, you had no idea I was going to do this.
100%. So, and my audience knows I have very little conversation with my guests beforehand, so that this can be an organic conversation. I had a little bit of conversation with your assistant, who is awesome and sent me cookies before the show, but outside of the cookies, I'm wide open. So that is a true statement. I have no idea where we're headed now.
So I don't know how this is going to go, but here we go.
Okay.
Ready?
Okay.
Great. You seem like an intelligent, thoughtful person, Mike. What's truth?
Truth is absolute truth. It's something that we, the guiding light, something that we believe and perceive to be, how do I define it without saying true? Something that is direct, that we can.
By the way, you've already fallen into the trap.
Okay.
Because that's not what truth is.
Okay. What is truth?
So think about it. We argue about the truth. We will break up relationships over the truth. We go to war over the truth. We swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. We admonish our children about the truth, but most people haven't ever really stopped to figure out what is truth. All right.
Okay.
Now,
This is truth. No conversation ahead of time.
Sorry.
One of the guys watching says truth. No conversation ahead of time. He's been on the show, so he knows. That's truth.
Right. So, truth is reality.
Based on perception or perspective, right?
No.
Okay.
Truth is reality. Reality is truth. All things that are real are true. Right?
Okay. Fair. Yes.
Do you have to perceive it for it to be real?
No. I mean, something can be real if it's tangible, it's real. Sure, it's there.
There's a truth. There's a reality at the bottom of the ocean that no one has ever seen or discovered. There's a reality in outer space that no one has ever experienced or discovered or isn't aware of. It's still real, right?
Sure.
It doesn't become real once we discover it. It doesn't become real because we can perceive it. It is real. It exists outside of us as human beings.
It's like the if a tree falls in the forest, but there's no one there to hear it, does it make a sound type of perspective?
Reality is truth.
Okay.
And truth is reality.
Okay.
Can you buy that?
I can buy that.
All right. Now, let's talk about the difference between truth and telling the truth. What is telling the truth?
Telling the truth is more that I'm sharing perception, like that. Hey, this is true to me. This is what I believe I saw with my own eyes, sort of.
Telling the truth
and so forth.
Telling the truth.
You're trapping me on all these, RJon.
Well, I've been teaching this and working with this for a decade, and this is the first time you've been exposed to it. So
sure.
There you go. That's why you should all read the book.
Absolutely. Truth, lies, mistakes, or bullshit. Which one's driving your business?
Which one's driving your business?
Your business.
Telling the truth is when a person does their best to accurately describe their best understanding of reality.
I like that definition.
When a person does their best to accurately describe their best understanding of reality, they're said to be telling the truth, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what happens when a person does their very best to describe their best understanding of reality, but it turns out they're wrong? Are they a liar?
No, I would imagine. I mean, that's probably the line between lies and mistakes.
That's called a mistake. When you do your level best to accurately describe your best understanding of reality, and it turns out you're wrong,
it's a mistake.
You've made a mistake.
Okay.
You're an honest person who made a mistake because you did your level best to describe your best understanding of what you thought was real, and it turns out you were wrong. You made a mistake. Yeah?
100% agree. Yes.
What's a lie?
It's when I know what the reality is, but I say something that's conflicting with that.
What if you're wrong about what you lie about?
How do you mean?
Well, what if you think something is black?
Okay.
If you believe something is black, you've looked at it, you've measured it, you've evaluated it, you've thought about it, you've tested it, you believe it's black, and you represent to another person it's black.
Okay.
You're telling the truth, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, question mark.
Hold on. If you believe that it's black, if you've looked at it, if you've evaluated it, if you've tested it, if you've analyzed it, if you've measured it, and you really truly believe it's black, and you say it's black,
yes,
but it turns out that it's white. Turns out your instruments were wrong, your measurements were wrong, your data was wrong, your information was wrong. You were just wrong. Are you a liar?
I mean, I would say no. I would say
you
that's
made a mistake. You're an honest person who made a mistake.
Sure.
Okay.
So I'm gonna pause for a sec because I got a couple of comments here, and I want just so that it'll tie in with this. So I want you to keep going, but Lead with Jim says there's a difference between lying and sharing an understanding of what you've come to know.
That's
Agree.
absolutely correct. Let
Okay.
me, I'm almost there.
Okay. Keep
I'm
going.
almost there.
Yes.
So reality is truth. Reality is truth. It is what's real.
Yes.
Telling the truth is when you accurately describe your best understanding of what you believe to be real.
Agreed.
When you accurately describe your best understanding of what you believe to be real, but it turns out you're wrong, you made a mistake.
Also agreed. Okay.
A lie is when you misrepresent what you believe to be real. When you intentionally misrepresent what you believe to be real, that's called telling a lie.
Sure.
Yes?
Yes. Yes, I agree.
We're all in agreement?
Yes.
Okay. So what's bullshit? Bullshit is when you make a representation and it might be correct, it might not be correct. The reason it's bullshit is because you don't freaking know. You haven't bothered to investigate. You haven't bothered to think it out. You haven't bothered to research it. You haven't bothered to measure it. You're just talking. You're just saying things. You're bullshitting.
Okay.
You're making representations with total disregard for what's real. That's called bullshitting. That's what bullshit is. And by the way, this comes from a book called On Bullshit by a Princeton professor who wrote a book who traced the etymology of the word bullshit. This is what bullshit actually means. It means making representations that with total disregard for what's real. So here's my question for you.
So it's basically a guess.
It's not a guess.
Okay.
It's not a guess.
Okay.
A guess is a guess. Bullshit is when you make a representation and you don't have enough respect. You don't care what's real.
So give me an example. Can you give me an example of bullshit?
Give you let me give you a choice before I give you an example, and then I might not need to give you an example.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Two different airplanes.
Okay.
One airplane is being flown by a person who often lies. They don't always lie, but they often lie. Got it?
Airplane often lies. Okay, got it.
Got a big liar on the side of it.
Okay.
The other airplane is being flown by someone who often bullshits. They don't always bullshit, but they often bullshit. It's got a big bullshit on the side of it. There's no confusion. There's no trick here. The airplane that's being flown by the liar often lies. They don't always lie. It got a big liar on the side of it. The airplane that's being flown by the bullshitter, they often bullshit. They don't always bullshit. It's got a big bullshit on the side of it. You got it?
Got it.
You got to get on one airplane or the other. And you can ask them anything you want. What question do you want to know the answer to? What's the most important question you want to know the answer to before you choose which plane to get onto?
I mean, there's a few questions for me. I would, if I'm asking the pilot, I would ask.
There's really only one question you want to know the answer to.
I mean, I would ask, first off, have they flown a plane before? You know, where's the plane headed? Do they have their pilot's license? What's the question you would ask?
You want to know, are we going to be safe?
Okay.
That's
true.
The real question you want to know. Are we?
The reason I'm asking those other questions is it leads to that, right? Am I going to be safe getting to where I'm at?
Am I going to be safe?
Sure.
Yeah. And the liar says, yes, you'll be safe. I've checked this plane out. It's mechanically sound. It's full of fuel. I'm qualified to fly the plane. You'll be safe. The person who often lies, they don't always lie, but they often lie. They say, yes, it'll be safe. The bullshitter looks you right in the eye and says, yes, you'll be safe. I've checked the plane out. It's mechanically sound. It's full of fuel. I'm qualified to fly it. You'll be safe. They both give you the same representations. Now you got to make a choice. Which plane are you getting on?
Probably on the liar's plane, because the bullshitter is, I mean, at that point, he doesn't always lie. He's going to be on the plane with me. So I'm going to assume he wants it to be safe. The bullshitter has no idea.
That's what bullshit is.
Okay.
It's when a
Got
person tells you things and they don't know what they're talking about. You go through
Jim
life.
says, I want
By
to
the
know
way,
if
I've
there's
just
food.
ruined everyone's life who's listening to this, because if you do this, it's going to ruin your life. You ready?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to be asking all kinds of stuff.
Well, you start everywhere you go. You just ask a person the same. You can always find out if someone's bullshitting. You just got to ask the same question 3 times.
Okay.
Why or how do you know? You ask why or how do you know 3 times in a row, and you very quickly figured out that you're talking to a bullshitter and they're bullshitting you. Why? I don't know. How do you know? I'm not sure. Why? For no particular reason. How do you know? Because someone told me. Who told you? I don't know. Someone told me. Well, how do you know if they knew anything? I don't know.
No, that makes a lot of sense.
Well, okay. Now you're running a business. We're talking about leadership. That's what the show is, right?
100%. Yes.
Okay. So now you go and talk to the leadership team of your organization.
Okay.
And you ask them, what is your business plan? How do you know it's real? How do you know these things you're telling me are going to happen? I don't know.
Well, I'm not
Someone
sure.
told me.
RJon told me. I don't know.
Because someone told me. I don't know.
told me. Right. Jeez.
And
Jim
once
has another
you
good
start
point.
doing this in your business, you will discover just how much bullshit is driving your business.
That's wild.
Could you hold just one moment? I'll be right back.
Yes. I'm holding. He's got to be grabbing something. So a few notes here, because there have been some things that have come up as we're talking about this. We talked about it. Jim says it's more gaslighting ourselves into believing something is true or not. Jim wants to know if there's food. Is there food on the plane? Yeah, there might be, Jim. Someone told me there was. Right.
The liar says yes. The bullshitter says yes.
Yeah. How do we know? And then it's here's an interesting perspective too.
By the way, if you hate this
people...
conversation, you're not going to like my book any better. Don't buy it. If you love this conversation, then you're going to love my book, and you should buy Truth, Lies, Mistakes, or BS or Bullshit.
100%.
Your business.
And we're as we come to the tail end. First off, again, RJon, thank you so much for spending time with me today on the Leadership Toolkit.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. We covered a lot of great stuff. I mean, I love your background. Love this back half of the conversation. I have a lot of respect for the fact that, like, even as we're talking, you're like, hey, wait a minute. No, that's not what I said. The fact that you're willing to push back shows that you're very clear on where you're at in your business. And I love that. When we were talking earlier about some of the stuff, you've offered a couple of great book recommendations, and one phenomenal book recommendation, Truth, Lies, Mistakes, or Bullshit, Which One's Driving Your Business. That was co-authored. It was RJon Robins and is it
John David Mann.
John David Mann. So
if anyone's read any of the Go Giver books, John co-authored Go Giver.
So check that book out. I'm going to go through this.
So Bob Berg and I are friends, and John David Mann and Bob co-authored the Go Giver series. And that's so awesome. When I started talking to Bob about, I got to write this book, he put me and John together and said, I think the two of you should do something together.
That's awesome.
Bob's an amazing connector. You want to learn anything about referrals or networking, Bob's your guy, Bob Berg.
So for everybody that's tuned in, a couple of reminders also. I did put the link tree on here. So if you go to linktree.com/RJon Robins, ROBINS, you can check out RJon on LinkedIn. It's also RJon Robins, RJon Robins. And then their website, howtomanage.com. And last, certainly not least, coming out, let's see, August 4th. So, gosh, few months from now is Truth.
But if you give me your name on the web, if you go to my website, yep. we'll do some pre-launch stuff.
Go before August 4th is what he's saying. Right. Go there now.
Go there now. Get on the list, pre-order the book, and we'll start doing some pre-launch fun stuff for you.
Absolutely. So, RJon, thank you for joining me. Any final thoughts before I take us out this afternoon?
No, I appreciate the invitation. I appreciate the platform. Anytime I have an opportunity to talk to someone who has an open mind about these kinds of things, it's always fun. And I really enjoyed my experience with you. Thanks. I hope you'll have me back.
Yeah, absolutely. If you would hang tight for just a second, I'm going to take us out. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to bring us to a close for another episode of the Leadership Toolkit. Thank you guys so much for taking the time, guys and gals, to tune in and join me. I mean, this is just always such a good show. It's such a fun platform, and having conversations with people, sharing perspectives, and just love the information that RJon shared. As you know, I'll always share the links and information in the description. A couple of asks that I have for you in the audience. If you would do me a favor, one of the ways that shows like this continue to grow is if they get interaction. So throw some thumbs up on the show, make sure, maybe make a comment or share the show. Most importantly, if you know somebody that needs to hear this, if they need to understand, for example, the difference between their truth, lies, mistakes, or bullshit, you should share this show with them, because it's a great illustration. He knocks it out in about 5-10 minutes. And he got me right. So you got to go through there and just, share the show with them, because that's one of the goals, is just how can we be impactful and how can we help lift somebody else up? It's not just about growing ourselves, but growing the people around us as well. So thank you everybody for taking the time to tune in and join me today on the Leadership Toolkit. Till we meet next, I'll see you back here next Wednesday. Stay great.